He actually laughed at me at first and was like, dude, this AI thing isn't going to be all you think it is.
That's at that 25,000.
Again,
that's everything you had then.
Yep.
This 200,000 is everything you have now.
What we need to do is not bury our heads in the sand, but put in our input to be able to train it more on how humanity works as a whole, instead of letting the greedy people at the top use it for their benefit only.
With a little health and a little wealth and a lot of love, that's the life that we live. Suits and scrubs.
For me, if I can control it, I set the standard, it's important. But if it's somebody else's standard and I'm like, okay, this is building your thing, but now my people suffer,
right?
It's hard for me to do that. Like, I am a leader through and through.
Grow your skill sets. Yep. I tell kids that you should grow your skill sets before you do anything else.
I hired 13 people because I learned it's not me that grows this, it's a team that grows it.
You know what I do by trade, right? You know, I'm a big investor. I make my money work for me. It's so powerful. I'd love to get, like, maybe off camera, talk about, you know, what your investment strategy is. My biggest missed opportunity, when I knew how big Chat GPT, I was so focused on, you think you know where I'm going with this, so focused on the functionality. I stood up all night playing around with it. If I could go back in time, and this is not like me, and I was like, you know, if I just asked Chat GPT, how do you work and what are you powered by?
Yep.
You understand what I'm talking about?
I tried to have the genie create the genie, and they put blocks on that beforehand.
Really?
Yeah, I tried. I said, create me a chat, because I started coding with it.
Oh, shit.
Remember I told you I started doing Linux and started trying to figure this out? I'm like, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And then I thought, they're eventually going to monetize this. I need to figure out how to get around it ahead of time.
Right. You're smart.
So I said, basically create the genie for me, genie.
Right.
And it was like, you get 3 wishes and that's it. Sorry, you've already asked for your 3 wishes. No, and I had it coding. Like, I literally had it coding because I went to the developer and I said, we need to put AI in this.
Exactly.
And I started giving him code. I'm like, if I can help you with the code, I want you to have this so that you can do it. He actually laughed at me at first and was like, dude, this AI thing isn't going to be all you think it is. Fast forward now, probably a year and a half later, he implemented it about 3 months later and was like, dude, thank you so much for giving me that. He started playing with it. He hadn't played with Chat GPT yet.
Yeah, I'm the same way in my network. And so I like where you're going. My missed opportunity was understanding how it was powered. What powers Chat GPT?
It's just data.
It's the chips.
It is. The compute.
Exactly.
It's the processing.
And so it's a lot of processing power. Who makes those processing?
So that's actually, if I had to give anybody advice, I would be putting my money into 2 sectors: compute with the chips and the processing, and energy.
Yeah.
The energy sector is going to blow the up because you have to power all of this.
Right. It's smart. That's really smart. So if I would have took a second back in when I found ChatGPT before anyone else, I call it, I was a pioneer here, and I learned about this. I actually learned about it from my good friend Jada. If you're watching, shout out to you. She's a groomswoman in my wedding. Love her.
You had a groomswoman?
Yeah,
I've never heard of that. That's awesome, actually.
I did. Actually, look at my grooms people. They're like, have someone from Egyptian, Korean, and it wasn't on purpose. It was just like, you know, I'm a very worldly.
Your people.
It is. I'm just a worldly person, and I love the world. I love people and cultures and things like that. That's just who I am. It will always be that way. It took me a long time to love that part about me, because I feel like if I was hanging out with some group, then I had to like be that. But now I'm like, you know what? I'm worldly, and I'm, you know, like you said, authentic. But NVIDIA, I think I'm saying that right.
NVIDIA,
yeah, the stock. If I would just paused, and you know, I made more money off real estate. I made my first $1 million off real estate. You know, and if I would right now, like, I'm transitioning my real estate, because real estate is going to be, it's always going to be real. It's always going to be an asset. I'm not transitioning at all, but I'm transitioning a lot of this into technology ETFs and stocks, index funds in technology. I never am a believer, and this is my investment advice to anyone, because this is important, because this is the business missed opportunity. If I would have stopped what I was doing, understand, and I knew this was going to be big, understood the business side of it, and bought every single dollar worth, I would have done it. I just didn't think. I think differently. I think differently, and I was just like, you know, I know it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be here and here and here. I'm using it every day before anyone else. I said, if I understood how it was powered and bought that stock then, I would have done it. But I've done that before. I bought early into a stock. That's me. I'm an investor, damn it.
You know, we're still early into that.
We are.
Have you seen Sora?
No, I haven't heard of Sora.
Oh, dude. Tyler Perry canceled an $820 million expansion of his studio because of Sora.
Talk to me about that.
Sora is a video generation AI. You put in a prompt, kind of like, so Suno.ai is what I was telling you about before, where you can create these songs, which I'm gonna have to pull up and play for you. Like, not just not just instrumentals,
Right.
vocals.
Yeah, that's so controversy. So much controversy.
There is a lot of controversy around it, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of controversy around the automobile industry automating the assembly lines.
Right.
Like, there's always going to be controversy.
When new technology, in fact, what we learned in business law and business school is when people first had VCRs and they were recording Disney. Disney had shows on, and they didn't like that. They were like, "No, we're suing you." It was Sony, I believe. Fact check me, because this is one thing that's powerful. And our professor was really cool, one of the coolest professors I've ever had. And he says, he was a no nonsense. He was a practitioner. I don't like academics, I like practitioners. That's just my mantra. And he says, if law goes against technology, technology usually always wins, or it will eventually always win. And so he said that
he's right.
He is right. And he said that they sued and they implemented in law and lost, and they said fair use. So if you record it to watch it later, you can do that. Interesting. But that's a really good example of where technology changed the world. Like recording, like wow, a VCR, I can watch. It's just powerful how technology.
Well, you see what's going to happen. Have you ever seen the movie Death Race with Jason Statham? It's a very interesting concept. It's about these prisoners who go to this prison camp, and it's based in this future. It's a sci-fi type show. But part of what happens is they have this opportunity to race for their freedom. And it's a death race. So you race and everybody dies except for the winner. For the most part, you have some people that finish, but it's you race to the death.
Right.
And then you had this one guy with the mask on, and you find out at the end of the movie that he keeps dying, but they keep replacing him with a mask. I see Sora being that. We're, I think, going to have these AI characters that become household figures that never die. Think about how powerful that's going to be for the industry. It is.
And and the thing is, I'm technically a content creator now, right? Yep. And this is a huge trend, and you have old school thinking and new school thinking, and people in the middle. I'm in the middle. And this first influencer out there, she has pink hair. I'm sure I don't even know her name, but she's her OnlyFans, and people are subscribing to this. By the way,
oh, because she's an AI.
There's half the people who are subscribing to her because she is an AI. They want to see how they're doing it, and half people are perverts. Let's just be honest.
100%.
And so so it's just fascinating where this AI is going, and I do think that there is going to be, when you think about personal branding, AI. I think it can augment, and that's where I'm standing with that. But we'll talk about ethics in a second. So you learn all these skills. You're moving into this AI space. When did you and you're still working for this company, right?
No, I was not working for them when AI came in.
Got you.
I was the CRM. So then I actually went out with the CRM. So in November of 22, I sold my agency, and AI came out around that time, but I was just dabbling in it. And then we launched the CRM. Had all kinds of bugs in it, and we brought on about 150 people. Wow. The next month we had 0 left because it wasn't functional and people didn't know how to adopt it, and I didn't have a good onboarding process. So we fell flat on our face.
Stressful.
Oh, dude. So I went from month 1, I'm like, yeah, I made it. Things are going good. Yeah. It wasn't a dumb idea to get rid of the agency and go this route to, oh, what did I just do? And then it was, I can either quit, and I had a team of developers. I had VAs out there that were in the Philippines that were working for me. And you don't just have them as employees. You get to learn what their families are about.
They're dependent on you for well-being and living.
So I'm like, well, what do I do? Well, we started selling our VA services and helping people onboard.
That's how you transitioned.
Yep. So then we started doing that. And then the AI came in. I'm like, light bulb, let's make AI virtual assistants. And then so we created AI that did a lot of the menial tasks that the virtual assistants in the Philippines were doing, to then allow them to do things like graphic design and website design and things like that. And the AI handled the conversation side of it.
Wow.
So then we were able to augment, like you said, and enhance the human job to where the people who were upgrading their skill sets got paid more. They helped scale the company more, while AI took care of this for a very cheap metric.
Right.
And we were able to enhance and scale our team faster because we had AI doing these things. And that's another thing that I want to make a very, I want to emphasize the fact that there are a lot of AI companies out there that are saying we need to replace your employees with AI because it's cheaper. And that's 100% something I disagree with wholeheartedly.
Why?
We need to be, because what happens? That becomes a very dystopian world that we live in when no one has a job because AI took over. So all these fears about AI taking over is not because AI is going to be sentient and take over. It's because you get greedy who want to replace people with AI when all it is a tool. What happens when you don't have people to manage that tool and it breaks?
Right.
Your company is going to go down the
Right.
So what you do is you scale and you do these menial tasks that people don't want to do anyway that kill morale of your employees.
Right.
And you have AI do it 24/7. And now instead of 10 leads a day, you're driving in 30 leads a day because AI is doing it 24/7. Not everybody is awake and working on what you want to work on 9 to 5.
Right.
So when you can capture and meet your clients where they are, you're going to capture a ton more.
Right.
And then you set that up to where AI funnels those down to find the right clients who then are ready to buy and ready to work with your company. And you have those people set in place to build relationships, not just sell them.
Right.
But now I'm not fact finding to find out how I can sell you. Now I'm getting to know you. What can we do to really benefit you going forward? And then on the back end, your customers aren't waiting on you because AI has all of your SOPs, all of your, which for anybody who's out there doesn't know what an SOP is, it's a standard operating procedure.
I live by it.
Same.
First thing I did when I started this, I had this notion here. Actually, I'll show you offline, and you can probably poke some holes in it. I'm just starting, but no, I think you're 100% right. Yeah, talk to me more. I didn't mean to interrupt your thought process. If you want to finish that thought process, let me know. I get really excited, and I'm working on like not interrupting my wife. It's like you always interrupt me. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to. I'm just really excited. Yeah, we're the same mindset. You don't get offended. So you have ADD?
100%.
But me too. So anyway, what I will say this is, yeah, tell me about your product and services. So you talk about the lead sales part of it, right?
Yeah.
So what else does AI do in your agency? Like, what are your product and services? Like I know that you, based upon what I see, and I could be wrong with this, you're more focused on the lead generation and developing that aspect, but I'm sure your AI does more than that. But talk to me more about what that is, like engagement and things like that.
So we're diving into AI all over the place. So what I do is I find different systems because our system is very targeted. It's very specific, right? We are highly in regulated areas. So you have the A2P 10DLC regulation, which is by the FCC, who regulates the use of text messaging so that you're not getting spammed all day by all these marketing companies and all these scammers out there.
Right.
So we very much follow those guidelines because if you don't, then you don't have the phone number to use because they'll cancel you.
Right.
And you're subject to fines. So we don't want to subject our customers to fines. So we build it completely to be compliant with everything.
It's hard.
The other,
I never even thought about that because I worked in financial services and I worked in every single aspect of the bank, from community to wealth. I sat on the trading floor. When people were doing blow in the bathroom and flipping desks, like I saw it.
Yep.
And here in Charlotte, it's a real thing.
People are people anywhere.
That's right. That's right. And one thing that we did is we rolled out a CRM, which was Salesforce at the time, and I know, and we integrated with a privacy system that was regulated, and so you had to scrub your leads list before you can reach out to them. So I'm very well aware of that, but that's just crazy that you have to go through those. I just wouldn't know that you have to do that, but that's
Most
just
people don't.
Being a business leader, and just figuring that out. But go ahead.
You'd be surprised about the compliance that Facebook has as well. So the other thing that we do is we connect your AI to your business Facebook page. So you also have to be compliant there.
That would appeal to me, obviously. So
yeah, so you have what's called a 24+1 rule with Facebook. You cannot do outreach on Facebook to be compliant. People have come up with systems that will use a Chrome extension that will use your personal Facebook page to comment on posts, to send messages outbound instead of just responding inbound. My system doesn't do that. So we use those systems 100%. Worst case scenario, what, they cancel my Facebook page? I don't care, right? The reward outweighs the risk there for us.
For sure.
And I will recommend those systems to anybody so long as they understand the risk that your Facebook account can get deleted. if you use this and they say you're using it inappropriately. And there are use cases that I think it should, because scammers will use these kind of systems for
100%.
that. They 100,000% should be canceled
100%.
for that. We need to get rid of those. But if you're trying to get your message out there and it's marketing B2B, B2C, and you're trying to tell people what you do, you should be able to use your Facebook page for that. But 100%. Facebook doesn't like to automate.
Right.
Because they want it to be authentic.
Authentic, yeah.
Some of these, like I have a system now that we use, it's not mine. Over the past 5 days I've been trialing this, it's commented on over 600 people's posts.
Saw that.
And during that time, my engagement on my post, because of the way the Facebook algorithm works, that says, hey, the longer you keep people on Facebook, the more we're going to reward you by putting you in front of more people. I've had a 300% increase in my engagement on my post using this software. So we're doing things like that, trialing these systems that I give away. And I'm like, hey, try this. We've done it. And we beta test in our own systems first. And then I recommend.
I love that. I would love to, because my thing is like, our mission, we're not making money from this. And we probably won't make money from this for a while. And it's costing us a lot. $5,000 a month. And I share that on the show all the time, just because we are passionate about our mission. Because we do believe that quality information should be inclusive to everyone. And health and wealth are some of those things that, politicians getting ahead of, administration, and wealth as well. There's so many rules and regulations on things, which are in for good reason. But I do believe that, people should have foundational knowledge, and they don't know who they can go to, who they can trust, And so I'm a big fan of that. And if we could try to increase our mission with people, I think that would be powerful. So
I'll show you that system offline because it's amazing, and it's not mine, so I'm not going to get credit for it, but I'm going to show it to you because it's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
But there's another one that you use that does outreach from your personal page, and it'll blast out, and they throttle it so you don't get caught by the Facebook algorithm, up to 50 messages outbound per day. What I've done is we drive that inbound to mine. So my system was 100% compliant. You're not risking anything. We use APIs. We connect directly to Facebook through compliant.
How'd you learn all this? Is your offshore team developing this? You don't have to tell me your trade secrets, but
I don't care. What I've learned, and if this is something that you can take away, or anybody out there listening is, I give away as much information for free. If you wanted to go figure out how to do it on your own, you're going to figure it out anyway.
You say that a lot online, and I madly respect you for that.
1%.
That's why I invited you on the show, is because, like, you know what? And I have some other AIs people in my network and that are pretty impressive. But one thing that's just kept coming up for me is just like, this man is giving away so much value to really help people, and he can help people, and he says you can figure it out. But
I get paid because you want me.
Right.
If you don't want me, I don't want you. Remember that?
Right,
that's my philosophy.
Right.
So if you want to do it, I don't truly believe in competition. The only competition is myself, and I want to be better than I was yesterday every single day.
I love that.
And the rest of it is friendly competition, which I see what you're doing. Cool. I'm going to figure out what you're doing.
Right.
So why don't we just tell each other what we're doing and see if we can drive this competition a little faster to do a lot more for everybody else to benefit.
Yeah, people at the top don't really compete; they collaborate.
It's collaboration all day long.
People, and that's what we talked about this off camera. I saw a quote. They said that the poor look at everyone else and say, "Hey, this is what I don't have," and they glorify that. The middle class focus on social events and gossip and all the other stuff. This is not my words. This is the quote that I saw today. So don't send me hate mail, or you can drop them in the comments. And the rich, what they do is they're focused on what they're building and what they're doing. And it's just such a different mindset. It really is. That's why your network is your net worth.
By the way, please send the hate comments. All you're going to do is build the algorithm so that this gets more views. So thank you.
Just don't tell my secret. I'm just kidding. No, I love it. I love it. I love it. We'll send him his way. I'm just kidding.
Send him my way. I'll take all that because it builds the algorithm.
We'll take him. We'll take him. So you walk through the product and services.
Yep.
You made this whole huge switch. Are you comfortable sharing how much you invested in your business?
Yeah. So I sold my agency for 6 figures, and we've invested every dollar of that and then some back into building this out. That. So that took a lot. Like, we had to rely on
but you've done this before.
I have.
Invested that $25,000.
Again,
that's everything you had then.
Yep.
This $200,000 is everything you have now.
Yep. It wasn't everything that we had. That was everything that came from the agency sale.
Exactly.
So,
but this is like another. It's another milestone in your story.
Yep, and it was about a 10x increase of what I invested in the last business.
Exactly.
So as far as that goes, I invested in this without any guarantees that I was going to get anything back from it. And I'll tell you,
and how have you done?
Really well. Like, we're pacing 7 figures, and we're doing really well. I got a hotel. So give you I'm not going to give full financials, but
For sure.
we charge per message. So a lot of people charge for the system and then they charge per message on top of it. I built packages out where you pay in and I give you that exact credit back on your account to use for your messages. And what you don't use rolls over every single month.
I love that.
So
Interesting.
I built my margins into that. So we profit, but everything you put in, you get to use. So everything you do goes on in stacks. We have a hotel that's sending 2 million messages a month. So when you're talking a couple of pennies every single message, that starts stacking up. And so we've been able to build profit on that. But what we do is I'm hardly taking a salary off of that. I'm investing all that back into the company to make the systems even better, because what I've seen is the projections on AI are $6 to $10 trillion by 2030. I just want to have like 1% of that for my company.
Right.
If we can do that, knowing the ethics that I bring to it, the way that we want to take care of our customers, the way that I've literally told people to cancel our services already because they aren't using it. I don't want to just take your monthly membership because you're here. I want you to benefit from this because twofold, right? First of all, I don't want to screw anybody over. I left the insurance industry because claims weren't being taken care of that I sold as being your stuff is going to be taken care of.
Wow.
And so I left the insurance industry because of that. And if you talk to any insurance agent right now, they will tell you it's the hardest time in history for insurance agents because carriers don't want new business right now. They're losing their asses.
Right, I can see that.
And so I take that mentality into this. I used to be able to say on your worst day, you'll know that I took care of you. Now I switch it to the beginning where you know that because you're successful, my systems helped you get there. That is what keeps me going. Like we are a human society together that needs to grow. We're all on this rock hurtling through space together.
Right.
If this thing runs into another planet, we're all dead together.
Right.
So we might as well advance as fast as possible together.
Right.
And so that's my mentality is there's no one person better than another. There's just people that are more understanding what the reality is than others.
No, I love that. I love that. So the product and services that you offer, just so I have it clear, is so you guys, you do a lot of lead generation, but what about automation? Like what other services do you offer? Because a lot of this is like, it sounds to me it's like client outreach and customer outreach and
a little bit. So we are now the software company. So we're not technically an agency that does anything. We allow companies like agencies to white label our services. So we took a bunch of systems and put them together to build ours. So we do AI that does customer outreach. So let's use my insurance background, right? You have a customer that left you for price. They left you because customer service was bad. They left you because they had a bad claims experience. We create an AI for each one of those scenarios, and we tag somebody who left because of one of those scenarios. And if we've improved in that agency what happened for why you left, we now do an entire campaign with everybody in that tag once a month that reaches out and says, hey, I know you left because your prices increased. We have this carrier, this carrier, this carrier that are seeing X% lower than the rest of the carriers. We would love to reshop your insurance for you.
Interesting.
Same thing. You had a bad claims experience. We completely understand and we know that that was why you left. Here's why we think we can do better the next time on claims. Here's these carriers. Same thing with customer service. Hey, we were terrible at follow-up before. I know you reached out to us 4 times. We never got back with you on that reshop because your price increased. We have implemented AI to do this and this. We've implemented a new sales team, a new customer service team, and it gives the reason to come back. So we do win-back campaigns for any industry. We have solar, roofing, insurance.
Wow. So win-back campaign, what's your conversion rates on that? Or if you're
it depends on the industry, right? So I'll go back to insurance again because that's my baby. That's where I came from. Right. We have about a 50 to 60% win-back conversion rate on that. It's massive, right? So, and it's doing all the outreach for you. Now, some of that loss of the ratio is because people's phone numbers change or they moved or they don't have. So there's some of that.
You can't control. Yeah.
But most of the time, because AI doesn't have emotion, it will ask the hard questions. The other thing is, when you have those problems about claims, agents are hesitant to reach out and say, hey, I know that we were wrong. AI doesn't give a shit.
Right.
AI is going to, an agent, and it's rightful, right? If I'm an agent and my livelihood depends on selling a policy, do I want to open this can of worms over here and waste time with a 50-50 shot that they're going to come back and even let me quote them, let alone win that business back?
Right.
But I have AI running in the background that's opening that can of worms, which validates that customer too, that says, oh man, somebody recognizes that this was a problem
Right.
and they care enough to ask instead of being afraid to hear what I have to say,
Right.
you'd be amazed at how many people open their hearts up to answer AI on these questions.
That's crazy.
Because somebody took the time to ask it. And AI can ask that question to a million different people at the same time.
Right.
And then if you don't get that person back, the agent doesn't care because they didn't waste time. They spent what, 50 cents on that conversation?
Right.
And then the people that do funnel back in are 90% more likely to buy
100%.
because you had that conversation with AI ahead of time and they already gave you the information to requote them.
It's so powerful with qualified leads. You know, the conversion rates of qualified leads. I've seen that in many industries. And again, the aesthetics business I was looking at, you know, how to automate this, how to automate the sales process, because, you know, you can have a prospect, you know, this is the whole sales cycle, the prospect, the lead, the qualified lead, the really qualified lead, which if you're really smart, you kind of categorize that, and then the customer and the client, you know?
Yep.
And so your AI does a lot of that. So what else does your AI do?
Customer support. So I don't know what your relationship with your insurance agent is, but I guarantee you don't get an answer from them immediately on anything that you call about. It's, hey, let me get back to you, or let me get you with my customer service rep and they'll answer that billing question. But the customer service rep isn't licensed, so they can't talk about insurance coverages. So you have to wait on that agent. So if you have a successful agent, you're waiting a day or two or longer to get back to you.
Yeah. I'm on like auto payment, and we can talk about it offline, but I'm on auto payment, and you know, I don't drive really, you know, and I always try to renegotiate because I'm like, listen, I drive less than 200 miles a year. Like, I don't drive, you know,
right?
And insurance and everything else I have, but yeah.
But even then, it takes time.
It does.
What we've done is we've reduced a 48-hour wait time with most scenarios on average to 30 seconds.
Wow.
So that support, you don't have to wait on somebody to answer the phone. What if that phone line's busy? That if you're working with a successful agent, their phone is constantly ringing.
Right.
AI answers immediately. We're getting ready to implement voice into it to where you call instead of an IVR. Most people don't know what an IVR is. That's whenever it's the click 1 to this department. It's click 2. AI now is that IVR, but it answers your question. Do you have a billing question? Great. Let me go into my knowledge base and I'll pull up your policy.
That's gonna be powerful because I called, like my doctor actually had a scheduled echo because I had like some breathing problems. My wife wanted to get it checked out. God love the woman,
get that checked
right?
out.
I know. The thing is, I think I just go so hard, like, you know, working out and maybe stress. I don't know. Or just
if you're like me, it's anxiety.
It probably is but to me, it's a beautiful thing because it's like I'm so excited about life. You wake up every day just not knowing what, and that's the life I've always thought I could have. It's just now I'm starting to live it, even though I'm not. That's weird. This is a tangent, and you tell me if
tangents are great. Let's go, dude.
So let me go on tangent.
This is your show,
right? But no, but
split it into 5 parts,
right? No, and I'm gonna be sensitive to your time because like, oh man, that kept me for 3 hours.
No,
or 2
I'm
hours.
enjoying the conversation.
Me too, man. This is great. I'm having a great time. But I think, you know, people look at you, you're a high earner, making 6 figures by the time I was 20 something. I've worked hard for that.
Hell yeah, you did.
Hard.
It ain't easy.
It was not easy. I was working 60, 80 hours weeks, you know, and then I figured out how to scale back my time. So I've done things like what you've done for AI is what I've done, like, or like my productivity and how to work the system and really be strong in my truth. Meaning, like, I had 10 years of experience. If I'm not working like I used to when I was like 20 and working all those hours and getting all those skills, like, I'm okay. I can give you an answer like that. You're not paying for the 10 minutes. You're paying for the 10 years. Like, I know you're
100%.
right. And so you build this wealth, and then something happened, you know, in the last 5 years for me. And so I wasn't living my truth. I wasn't living what my soul was telling me. And I was dying. I was getting richer. I was getting more wealthy. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to be 100% authentic with that. And that turns people off, then whatever. But I wasn't feeding my soul.
Yep.
And I you know, and I still have this internal war a little bit. We talked about this prior to the show. It's like I could get more wealthy and live off more residuals, or I can live my truth and see what happens. Obviously, I'm taking a chance, right? But at the same time, it's, you know, it's that pull, you know, it's and I did not realize like what living is until you really like, and yes, I may go bankrupt, or yes, I may fail, but I won't be on my deathbed looking back and saying, oh, I wish I would have done that.
I'm going to challenge you real quick.
Please do.
Why do you have to choose one or the other? I found a way you can do both.
That's fair.
You can make money by providing a value
That's right.
to people to where your cost that they have to invest in
You're right.
is making them more than what they're paying, and you get to live that life. I told you this off camera, 3:30 my boys come home, maybe I go until 4 if I'm finishing something up. I shut it down until bedtime.
I love it.
Then I spend time with my wife after that, and then if she goes to bed before I'm ready to, I work.
Yeah.
And I get it done.
You're a machine, though.
Dude, she gets up.
My wife was listening to this. She would get into you and say, you need 8 hours of sleep. You need to, health is wealth too.
I didn't tell you what time I wake up.
Oh,
I don't get up at 4 a.m. like these people tell you their 4 a.m. routine.
I get up really early because I enjoyed the gym in my quiet time.
See, and I will tell you, I've sacrificed my health over the past year and a half because I've not worked out. I've not eaten healthy.
Yeah.
It's been building this thing up and spending time with my family. Now, I could have found a way to spend time with my family while working out.
There you go.
And I haven't chosen to do that. I told you I'm not a victim. I'm a product of my decisions.
I like how you're owning it because I was gonna come at you.
100%.
I want you to come at me, but I don't want that's the thing though. I don't want a relationship. This is what I tell people all the time. If you want to be my friend, maybe a relationship, you're not gonna sit there and be like, oh well, you're working and you're doing this. No, get up, go to the gym, or eat right. You choose that. You do that. You can fix that. You can control that. That's the kind of relationship
100%.
I like. Yeah,
and that's why I own it. Like people tell me that, I'm like, yeah, I've neglected that shit. And I made that choice, but now I'm to the point where this is starting to get on autopilot and we're scaling, but I've got systems in place. So now what if I have a heart attack tomorrow and I'm not here for my boys? What legacy did I leave?
Exactly.
Well, I left a legacy of wealth with absence of father, and not just 7 years like I had a lifetime.
Right.
So now I have to start getting myself back in shape. So a couple weeks ago, I decided
your children would choose you over your wealth.
100%. And I've done this really weird / cool thing. I think y'all can judge me. I don't care. Of where I do a vlog every single day and I record what's happened in my life because I wish there were time to go back and talk to my parents in the time when they were struggling, in the time of success. And I'm training my AI on those. So now that we're adding voice to it, I'm recording my voice and I've cloned my voice.
You think really different. You do that every day?
Every single day because what am I doing? It's been about a year now.
Wow.
And my kids don't know about it. Before I end my day, I go
watch the show. They will. Unless you want me, I'll edit it out if you don't want me to.
Put it in because I want people to think about this because at the end of the day,
I love that.
Without your legacy of knowledge and understanding, your kids are going to have to figure it out for themselves. And I'm not telling you to give them the answer, but how cool would it be to go back to your parents in a time of struggle and say, hey, I'm in middle school. I like this girl. She's cute.
Right.
What should I do?
Right.
And be able to ask them authentically as themselves instead of the older version that's forgotten some of what that feels like.
What that feels like.
And
that's powerful. I'm actually kind of I feel the emotion coming because it's like, when you think about life and you think about where you are and when you have these relationships, it's just fascinating because of just what things are. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but you can go back in time and see your dad at 30 years old or 20 years old. And, for me, I haven't decided to have children yet. And I'm actually older. I never thought I would ever be this old, starting to have children. There's a lot of trauma in my life, just like what we talked about, which I haven't talked about on the show. And I've talked about, there's a reason for that. And it will happen. And I'm very careful about what I share because I need to have conversations before the show goes live on that. And I think that's the reason why I haven't had. So I kind of robbed myself of my future because of those traumatic experiences. And I don't want to bring a life in the world to have the capacity because there's so much darkness in this world. And so when you said that, it just really resonated with me. It just makes me think a little bit differently actually about my whole outlook on that. Because my wife wants a baby yesterday. And people look at me like financially, I still don't think we're there because we're carrying, student loan debt. I'm just going to say it,
It's never going to be the right time financially. Let me tell you that.
Yeah. And I need to relax on that a little bit.
I'm going to challenge you on camera.
Do it.
You have two choices like I did. Mm-hmm. Do you end your lineage now or do you change your lineage?
100%.
And that's all on you.
It is.
Generational curses. You said it.
It is. Yeah.
you are the only person who can stop those generational curses from
100%.
continuing. And it comes from two different paths there. You either in your lineage here, and they don't continue through your lineage, therefore protecting the rest of the world from those generational curses,
Right.
or you continue your line and you say, every single day when I wake up, I'm going to end these generational curses to benefit the world going forward and to benefit my lineage.
It's 100% intentional. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. And I think I've walked a long way to get to my space where I feel like I have healed a lot from it. And so, I appreciate you just soundboarding with me on that. Because when you said that about your kid, I was like, wow, that's, I know people out there who journal once a day. It's the same damn thing. So
100%.
it's really mad respect. They say the most successful people do that. But success is defined in your own terms. For me, I don't need to be a millionaire, billionaire, or whatever. I just want to be financially free and live the life.
Same.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
That's all I want.
Even that, like, I could live in a shack tomorrow. I don't give a shit.
That's where
I want to impact the world in a positive way.
I mean, you saw I'm driving my wife's car from high school.
Yep.
I don't care. I don't care. She wanted a new car. I'm like, why? I said, I'll drive your old car. That's fine. But, fine. And we didn't, and
Material shit doesn't matter. It's the person that matters.
That's right. I'm a big believer in that. And that's why I always tell people on the wealth segments is don't let your things own you. Own your things. And I did this whole segment with someone's paying $600 a month in credit card debt. And they're a high earner. And I know I said this earlier, but I'm saying it again on camera just because, you guys weren't with us when we were talking earlier. I said, you got to get into this. So anyway, we went on a huge tangent. So we talked about AI. We talked about what it does for you. Is there anything else that you want to touch on with your product and services that offer?
Honestly, man, if somebody has a question about it, reach out to me. I'm happy to give you my time, teach you some things. Ultimately, our systems are for businesses that are already thriving, that are doing well. We use them to scale faster at a much cheaper rate so that you can then build your team and go. So just reach out to me and ask, and then I'll help you. What I would rather do is tell you about the capabilities of AI in your business in general. There are free things that you can do that you don't have to pay for that will then make you a lot of revenue. Like I said earlier, Suno.ai, copyright free music. You put in a prompt, you tell it what you want. I have multiple faceless YouTube channels that are making money, that are monetized off of audio right now because I put together albums.
That's crazy.
That I do. And those are what I do in my spare time.
I love it.
Then they drive revenue.
YouTube's cracking down on the faceless. It's like this huge thing that's coming out because they want to create and protect authenticity and all that, But honestly, if you really think about it, and this is actually a perfect segue into this part of the pod because we didn't talk about the ethical and and I have some stats on the screen. Sorry.
You're good.
But yeah, so and that just reminds me, I got to post shorts on YouTube. Yes, that I know.
Also another AI tool, Munch.io.
Munch, yeah, I've heard of that.
It will chop this thing up and it will give you...
Same thing as Opus, right?
Yes, very much like Opus. I chose Munch, again, because the monetary side. Opus does not allow you to do commercials. You can't do ads with Opus and with your affiliate link. With Munch, I could do a Munch commercial and have people buying off my affiliate link and I get paid.
I love it.
That's another thing that people, if you don't understand, there are systems out there that will pay you just to tell people about their systems.
Right.
And they will give you an affiliate link.
That's smart.
I have thousands of dollars coming in just from affiliate links every month because I'm promoting someone else's company.
I love that because actually that's what the next segment of this is. Actually, I started the Amazon, which everyone says
I do that too.
You got to do it, and I had my whole studio set up, so people are interested. I got the most question I get. It's something about the content. It's like, wow, your production value is really good. How did you? I said, yeah, here's all the links, and I just signed up. I was really proud. I said, oh, we're affiliate now. We're slowly getting into the monetization revenue because we still want to. In order for us to keep doing this and to drive good content, is we have to figure out how to
monetize.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you can't keep going. It's the lifeblood of a business. It's the lifeblood of a podcast. 100%. It doesn't make you greedy. It means that if you want to make a big impact,
right,
you have to make a big splash.
Exactly.
What's going to make a bigger splash? $10 or $10 million?
Exactly.
I can affect a lot more people with $10 million than I can with 10.
Exactly. I completely agree. So let's talk about ethical standards. So we talk about AI taking over the menial task, and that's something that you are very big proponent of, which
100%.
Which I agree with you. Like I use it every day. I use the menial task. Do you ever think that AI would replicate in such a way it starts taking over larger tasks?
Absolutely.
And what do you think that will do? So by 2025, they estimate about 85 million jobs will be put out of business. And to compare that, when automation went in 2000, about 1.8 million jobs in manufacturing, was displaced. So what would you say to people who are apprehensive about AI? I mean, it's not going anywhere, guys. I use it every day. Like, I'm with you on this, and you know where I stand on this, but I have to cover the 360.
100%.
So what would you say to people like that who are apprehensive about AI and who are kind of fear-based based upon that and the replication?
I say you have two options. Hold on to the crutch of the W-2 or go out and find a way to build your own business using AI. It's going to replace your job anyway. You might as well find a way to monetize on it and do a lot better than you would as a W-2. But it takes letting go of that fear because it's here. It's not going anywhere. You already see Microsoft put in $10 billion into OpenAI. I
saw that.
And that was the initial investment.
I saw that.
Let's wait and see what happens whenever this becomes a multi-trillion-dollar business. These are the beginning phases of this. Yes. And what I've seen from it and using it, it's not going to take over. It's a tool, just like a calculator, just like a computer, just like typewriters went to computers and so on. This is just the next evolution of what that is. At the end of the day, humans created it. Humans dictate how it learns. Humans dictate how it grows. So what we need to do is not bury our heads in the sand, but put in our input to be able to train it more on how humanity works as a whole, instead of letting the greedy people at the top use it for their benefit only. So if you go through and you use it, you get to control how it evolves. Ultimately, the masses control the direction it goes. And if the masses are controlled by the top, then the top controls how it goes.
Right.
But if the masses adapt and use it, this is actually one of those times where we have more control than we realize. If you've ever seen the movie Ants, where they come in and the grasshoppers are controlling, and all of a sudden they rise up and realize that they have the power. Mm-hmm. This is one of those times where we have the power.
Like decentralization.
Absolutely.
I think it's powerful. I think you're hitting on. Actually, I never thought about it like that. So what he's saying, just in case you guys are, I'm an AI enthusiast. I know exactly what he's saying. He is saying that the more you use Chat GPT, the more you're training the AI.
Yep.
Right. And the more it'll evolve with your inputs. Do you think can we do doomsday?
Yeah.
Permission? Or do you think AI could get to a point where they're like, in order to save humanity, I'm playing to some sci-fi here. We're some sci-fi guys, right? Sci-fi guys. That should be a podcast.
That would be a good podcast. That'd be a fun podcast.
Right, that would be fun. Do you ever think it'll evolve to a certain thing? In order to protect humanity from itself is to kill all humans. You know what I mean? So what do you say about like I'm not well versed in this, and you tell me if you want to go here, but I would love to go here. Like how do the rules and regulations and all that kind of play into AI altogether, and what things are in place? Because I've seen where one AI was working with another AI, and this AI was trying to see if it can overthrow this AI, and it did, and it retrained it and reprogrammed it, and I was like, oh geez, could it really do that? So talk to me about your thoughts on that.
I think at the end of the day, this is kind of a scary scenario to think about, but there are 8 connection points for the internet in the entire world. All of the military and governments of our world have bombs on those connection points.
Oh geez.
So
I didn't know where you're going with this.
So at the end of the day, you disconnect the internet, you disconnect the AI. AI is data based. It's based on the internet.
I never thought of that.
We have all of those in place. We would just have to sacrifice all of the advancement that we've made.
Wow. You just blew my mind. So you were ready for this.
I just know things about
that is kind of like, honestly, I didn't even think that.
Humans are more capable than we ever realized. We built the shit. We know how to tear it down.
Right.
So the thing that scares me more is scarcity mindset when people don't dive into these things.
Right.
Because what I'm more worried about is the nefarious people, the greedy people using AI against us, because the people who were afraid of the bad stuff didn't learn how to use it.
So you think there's an opportunity here to broaden the rich and the poor gap?
Absolutely. If the poor sit there and think, I wish I could do that, and they never learn it because they already feel like they're defeated, they're never going to win. But if you get into this and you learn it, this is brand new. You may not be able to do what Sam Altman and the OpenAI team can do, but you can use their tools.
Right.
And what I've learned through my systems, I actually learned this last night. One of my white label customers built this amazing prompt to where I tested my AI with them. He asked me, he was like, hey, will you test this for me? I went in and tested it, had a conversation. I tried to it left and right, tried to break it. And ultimately it talked me into wanting to do a demo. And it's like, hey, what if I took your company and said, here's how we can help you? And I simulated what it would be if I worked for you. I never thought about that. My system, he turned around and showed me something I could do with it.
Wow.
So
that's insane.
We can do the same thing. And Sam Altman has even said in interviews, he didn't put documents on how to use Chat GPT because he wanted it to evolve by the users using it and figure out what it was going to become. He didn't know what it was going to become.
Wow.
And nobody knows.
We still don't know.
Dude, it's a year and a half old.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's going to replicate to just something that's just going to be so incredible. Like I would never thought. I mean, let's be honest. Like we're in the generation where we didn't have the cell phones.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
We didn't have the internet. People are like, what?
You remember the dial-up sound whenever we first got it?
And what I used to do is dial up. Okay, I got about 30 minutes before it gets online. I would go up, do my thing, come back up. We had really slow internet. We had
then
internet.
If somebody calls in, it disconnects you.
My mom was a big phone talker. She loves talking on the phone. And I started a business. I was buying and selling new and used video games.
How old were you?
I was like 15, 16.
Damn.
Yeah, man. I was
Dude.
an
I'm
entrepreneur.
impressed.
I was always an entrepreneur. And honestly,
you knew it. That's the impressive part.
Yeah.
I didn't know it.
Yeah, you didn't know it?
I did not.
The thing is, what I'm impressed by you is, yes, we're licking each other's balls right now, but we're going to do it. What I'm impressed by you is, you've taken such incredible risks that, I have gotten, a drug, called a salary. It's telling me to post my shorts. It's not telling me I need to do something else. I want to tell that because I'm not rushing this conversation. But I want to be more of a risk taker. I built a pretty healthy net worth, by just grit, and there's moments, I'll share this with you, and we're getting to our closing. So this is actually a perfect part because I think you answered that beautifully, by the way.
Thank you.
I wasn't expecting that answer. It's actually kind of changed my mind, but also guys listening, I'd love to understand your thoughts on this. And, this is a little bit part of the episode. It's got to be covered, right? So I appreciate you.
Before you go on, I want you to finish this, and then we'll come back to this. I do want to touch on another ethical conversation.
Yeah, let's do it.
So go ahead and say.
Actually, let's go there before I make a transition because yes, let's talk about that ethical.
I get a lot of hate from artistics, people who are like,
we didn't touch about that,
and I wanted to make sure I touch on that.
Fair,
because they deserve to have their point. Had the conversation about it. Like, we need to talk about it because there is an ethical conversation there of artists. Everything has been scraped on the internet. All these conversations, all of these people have been ripped off of their courses that they've put out there, all of their methodologies that they've sold. It's just been scraped off the internet because there were no laws and regulations around it ahead of time. And there's a big argument out there that all AI is completely unethical because it scraped all this information and all this data, including artwork that they learned how to do this artwork from that. Music has been taken from
Music's
people.
A big one.
But what I'll tell you is this. If I pay for your course or if I see your free content online, am I ripping you off by taking it and making it my own? What about artists in school, in music school? Did you practice other people's music? Chopin, Beethoven,
100%.
all the
classical, jazz,
all of it.
Yeah.
You practiced it. Did you have to pay them any copyright fees to be able to do that? No.
Probably
But
not, yeah.
do you have to pay them for anything that you built on top of that?
It's your own interpretation of your artistic freedom and some of those aspects.
Yep. So if AI took all of that knowledge from humans that it's learned from, is it really unethical for us to be able to use it and say, I want to do this with this and this type of style, that type of style, and merge them to make my own? Fuck no, it's not.
That's an interesting concept. I think the reason why I think it's an interesting concept is because, well, I see this a lot. So there's a lot of creators. I'm not going to name them here. I follow some really big creators and I've taken their courses and things like that. I pay for knowledge,
Same.
Yeah, exactly. So you and I are here. That's the mindset that's just not there for some other people. And I'm telling you guys, grow your skill set. That's the G in the gift method. SusanCrustPodcast.com. Download the free ebook. What? I'm doing it. But I've seen that, and then I've taken another course. I'm like, this person learned from that person who just did their own spin to it and their own experiences in it. It's the same damn
There's
thing.
nothing new under the sun.
No, it's not.
Everybody has learned from somebody else, and they built their own methodology, their own language, their own framework around that same principle before.
Right.
I mean, it's happened forever. And once you understand that, you can either be a victim of it, or you can make a choice to adapt to it and evolve.
Look at you building out a theme for this episode from the beginning. I like it.
It's how I do everything. It's kind of funny how that happens. My conversations tend to go full circle all the time.
I love that. No, full circle. I'm all about full circle because I made a living. I've since I was 22 and as a consultant, I've walked in a room of 300 people and hosting offsites and managing. And so I think one of the things I'm actually pretty good at is managing a conversation to closure. Y'all tell me, but I know we went on some tangents, but I do have a guide on the screen. But I think
did we follow that guy?
Yeah, we did. We did actually. There's some nugs here. So one thing about the ethical standards, though, you talk about artistic. It just reminded me. This is actually on the guide too. I completely forgot. One is the reasoning.
Yeah.
And human beings have emotion. Like you said earlier, like AI doesn't give a shit if they open a can of worms about why you had a bad experience, but the agent does because that's their livelihood. They don't want to rock the boat, on that certain sale or whatever. But more importantly, like the value that the customer or the experience the customer had. Like, what would you say about the reasoning and the emotional side of things? Like what would you respond to people that are just like, oh gosh, it doesn't have my reasoning and emotion? But what would you respond to that?
In a time of logic, do I want someone who's emotional or do I want someone who's logic? Or in a time of chaos, do I want someone who's emotional or do I want someone who's logical? Humans are emotional.
Very emotional.
And emotion clouds logic.
It does.
And you need logic to be able to function and move forward. So in times whenever I struggle to see how do I get out of this mess that I've taken a risk on and I've invested in, I can either go to someone else who might be swayed by emotion, or I go to the AI and say, what's the logical way out of this?
That's fair. And I'm honestly, guys, I've used it for, like I told you, therapy. And I told him my whole backstory and I said things I'm struggling with. And it was like my 5-year therapy. It didn't have the warm, fuzzy feel that I get from therapy sometimes because I feel like I have 2 therapists. I now have 1. Yes, I know. I'm a whack job. We
all are.
We all are, man. We all just figuring out life. And you have a personal trainer for lifting. I don't see why it's a stigma, but that's just what's up.
I'd say our brain affects our physical and mental well-being more than our body does.
100%. And the same thing with a personal coach and a mentor. It's the same damn thing. It's just a different
perspective.
It's different perspective. Like I don't go to therapy anymore, but if I say I had a mentor, like no one bats an eye. It's the same thing. It's just a mentor for business. I want a mentor because I want to understand why I'm like this. And if you went to school and you're a PhD, you understand how the mind works. You're a psychology major, and you could break it down. A minor. That's right, minor.
Don't give me too much credit.
Yeah. But that's important to you, and so all that breaking down, and so yeah, and they talk about they apply it to different jobs. So one use case that I looked up was a lawyer. They say that in medicine, that's also another one. Yes, it can replicate and get 90%, but from a lawyer perspective, there's just ethicals and ethics, and it's hard to like kind of replace that specifically. But you can replace is such a strong word. You can augment the job. I like that word better because that's exactly what AI does. Augment that job. So any thoughts on that before we move on to?
I'll tell you, law is one that's hard for me because law is mostly black and white. So I think law is going to be one that's replaced more so than anything with AI until you get into courtroom law, whatever. I'm drawing a blank on the.
No, that's okay. I know what you're talking about. It's like ethics or whatever. Like this is a discrimination or it's a anything like that. You get
into contract law, that's going to be replaced.
Yeah.
People are no longer going to be needed for that.
Right.
You're going to need people to come up with interpretations of law.
Right.
that is going to be where the attorneys I see are going to be working is interpretation of law, and they're going to argue the interpretations of that law. But as far as actually writing the law,
Right.
it's going to be written by AI because it's faster.
So much faster.
And it's going to
Cheaper.
be exactly contract law is going to be taken care of completely by AI.
Right.
I being in insurance and my leads came from real estate.
Right.
I also worked with real estate attorneys.
Right.
You know, they don't actually write those contracts every
they
time.
don't.
They have a template that they
Right.
put in your information
Right.
for over and over and
Right.
over again.
Right.
And if you ask them to change it, they're like, no, we can't do that.
Well, I went to real estate school, and it's so funny. I said this. I had my Series 7, and I failed the first time. You know, I'm over here like, you know, I got my Six Sigma. You know, like, you're a productivity guy, so you know I'm talking like Six Sigma and automate all that stuff. I was trying to get my black belt, but I decided to pursue a different interest. And then I was trying to rediscover myself not even that long ago, like me in that like 6 years ago. I was like, I want to do something to fulfill my soul, and I love real estate, and I made the most money in real estate. Why not do that as a career? So I was like, oh, I got this. I'm a Six Sigma. I'm this. And man, I failed the test. I failed the class test, and in North Carolina, you get past the test, the class test, then you got to take the regular test.
Yep.
And I failed the state test, which is easier than the national test because North Carolina law is different from national law, and you have to know when to dip your toe in the other. Anyway, I can go on and on about this. So you understand what I'm talking about. So it's not easy. You know, law is like black and white, like you said. Like it's just right there. So in closing, I do want to do a fun question for you.
All right.
So the top 5 AIs that you haven't mentioned, and not Chat GPT, and go.
All right, so I'm going to kind of stick in parallels here. So I mentioned Suno.ai, so that doesn't count. There's another one called, now I'm going to be blanking on that.
And take a minute if you need to like look at your phone or something.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up really
up.
quickly because I just told you about it earlier. Wow, I've gotten a lot of notifications today. This AI is working. I literally, every time I turn on my phone on Facebook, I have like 15 notifications now because it's just commenting it.
I'm gonna look into that.
By the way,
I'm way over budget, by the way, but I might try.
$297 for the year.
I might need to
It's
find
super
budget
cheap.
for that.
But I put a prompt in there that said, ask an engaging question after you make a comment on their post, and literally every single time they respond to it. So now that gets them engaging, and it triggers the algorithm.
It's so funny you say that because that's actually one of the rules of my VA team that I've asked them to, like, you know, don't just like a comment. I want to engage in the community. Like, what did you like about it? What did I'm
not going to be, wait, I put it in my bookmarks. Anyway, so I'll get back to the audio AI, but there is Claude GPT, or Claude, not GPT, Claude AI by Anthropic. So I use this one to help craft my content on social media and anywhere else I go. And what I do for that is it sounds more human and authentic. So this is actually a really cool use case for this. So you want to do cold outbound emails. We will use Chat GPT to crawl their Facebook page, their LinkedIn, everything to find out information about them if they're on our list. And we will send a cold email out, and it pulls that information. And so I use me for example. It would say, hey, Ross, just reaching out about your marketing. I see that you're doing great with Maverick Solutions. And oh, by the way, I was just in North Carolina. I was in Raleigh last week and would love to come to Charlotte and check it out if you wanted to meet up. We do marketing services and we do YouTube build outs. Would love to see if you're interested in working with us. That seems so personalized. You did research on me.
Right.
You know where I live. You know about my business.
Right.
So we use ChatGPT because it has a crawling capability of a website, and we use Claude to craft the message with variables that it pulled from your posts.
Oh my gosh, that's fascinating.
And it will build a cold email that's directly built for you every single time, and it's doing that. We do like 1,000 of them a month.
I love that.
So
that's a Claude. Wow. So it has more of the human.
It sounds way more human whenever you ask it to write a prompt.
Because that's what I told my virtual team today. It's like, you know, if y'all use ChatGPT, make sure you have a human element associated with that.
100%.
That's an awesome phone, by the way.
Thank you. I love it. It's the Samsung Galaxy Fold.
Samsung is like leading the market now on phones.
That just happened like yesterday or the day before. I saw that.
Dude, we are like on the same wavelength.
Yeah. We probably watch a lot. We probably get a lot of the same notifications.
Probably. I told you when he first rolled up, bright orange truck. I said, dude, we're so much alike. He said, are we? I said, yeah, you just don't know it yet because I'm a creep. I've been creeping on your shit. And so you're a beardsman. You like a bright color car. I like a bright color car. You like AI. I like AI. You're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. So
I've enjoyed this, man. Like I found we are very similar. We actually have a lot of broken past that's similar, which I think you bond over brokenness in the past. And I think we're both working on healing through that. And we both desire a lot of efficiencies, man. Like 100%. That's huge.
I'm a productivity expert. Like, and not to your level. I'd love to get to your level because you'd be great.
Mine was out of necessity. By the way,
but that's the
I said I built this. I sucked at follow up. One of my problems where I left a lot of money on the table was I would not follow up with my customers and my prospects, and I would just leave them out there. And
that's where I shine.
Well, so I built systems because I don't shine there. And I'm like, what would be the ideal process of follow-up? Because I don't want to be pushy, but I also don't want to leave them alone. And it came into, we send these, and I'm very good at copy. Because I sit there and I imagine, what if I'm emailing you right now in the moment? What would this be hitting you as? And I write it like, hey, sorry I didn't reach out sooner. And Udio. So I'm ADD as hell.
Yeah. So you said Claude?
Udio. So Udio gives you, and I'll play something here. I don't know if the audio will pick up, but this is called Baby Yoda Beat. Somebody created this via AI. There's a little green baby from a galaxy so far. No. Now that sounds awful.
No, I don't think that sounds bad.
Well, I mean, I didn't think it was going to sound like that. This is not humans. That's AI 100% generated.
That's so crazy to me. It's so interesting what it's going to do in the music industry. I'm just interested.
That's free.
That's crazy.
So as you're doing this, you can build out instrumental only or with lyrics. So you can write your own lyrics and create your own songs, or you can just do instrumentals for the background of your music. So you don't have to worry about copyright strikes on your YouTube channel.
Right. 100%. I love that. So Claude, any others? I just said 5, but just to kind of reach at something.
Munch is great if you're creating long-term content. I know I mentioned that, but I didn't go to detail, so I'm going to count that as a caveat. I'm going to talk about it. Yeah. Using Easy Messenger is one. I mentioned it earlier, but I didn't give it the name. That's the one that does cold outreach via Facebook.
I saw the video of that today.
It's amazing.
The woman, like the lady.
Yeah.
I don't know her names. I'm sorry. I should probably know your name. But the way she presented it was fantastic.
Yep.
She did a great job.
I haven't mentioned my company, so I'll call it AI VAs.
For sure.
Little shameless plug there.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
The AI VAs.
Sometimes you can be Kanye West with it. Right?
Like, that dude's done pretty well for himself.
Right. Kanye is his biggest fan. A lot of people, like my parents or whatever, they say this, like, no one loves Zach like Zach loves Zach. I said, well, I had to do that. Like, no one, no, I don't mean that mean, but I felt that no one, like, I had to do that for myself. You feel that.
100%. So. I used to be the person that would cuss myself out every single day. Like, you idiot, what are you doing with your life? You made a bad decision. And now I'm my biggest fan. That was part of that change that I had to make, because if I'm not going to root myself on, who else is going to?
When you start talking about your contracts, I was like, can I, like, is he comfortable with me now that I can bring it up? And I brought it up.
Dude.
Yeah. And so, so I feel you. I see you.
And so part of it is also my knowledge of where AI is going and my fear of bad offenders, right? People who aren't going to do the right thing. And you've seen it in the media over the past couple of years. People get burned over interviews that they do. And I'm like, in the language, and this is a traditional contract language, it's like you have irrevocable rights over your likeness and this and that with that. I'm like, well, if you record me, all it takes is a 3-second clip of your voice and you can clone it with AI now.
Oh, wow.
So if I give you permission to have my likeness, then now you have permission to do whatever you want with my voice. And I'm like, my attorneys came back, my legal team's like, you can't sign that because they're specifically versed in what AI's capabilities are, and I've hired them because of that. So whenever you have those things, I'm like, and I knew it was, as soon as you said, hey, here's the contract, I knew it was coming. So I read through it and I'm like, here, send it to my team. They looked at it.
Which is fair. It's reasonable. Yeah.
And so we went back and forth on that. And I was afraid you're going to be turned off about, I'm like, not necessarily afraid. I'm like, this is a test. He's either going to be turned off by me coming back and saying, we need these adjustments, or we're not. And you came back and you were immediately like, I'm busy with work. Let me read through this, which is great because that said a lot about your character. You're not just going to sign off and you're not just going to veto.
Right.
You took the time to read through it, make the adjustments that needed to be made.
Right.
And then we came back and you were like, hey, by the way, here it is, already signed, which says a lot too.
Right.
Made the changes that we needed and it was done.
Right. And what I love about this too, he actually was like, hey, you can automate this. And I was like, that's my guy. Cause like, he's 100% right. So it was like, I thought it was good. And like, and I'm not afraid of conflict. You aren't either. I can just tell by your character. My wife is deathly afraid of conflict. Does that sound familiar? Maybe? Most
women are, man.
Yeah.
It's women want safety and security, and men want control and growth most times, and solutions.
Right.
And with that comes conflict. You can't find a solution without conflict 9 out of 10 times.
Right.
So I just hit it head on. And we're either going to agree on it or not.
And
if we don't,
each other.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't respect somebody who just rolls over. I want somebody who has standards because that means you have character.
Right.
If you don't, then you're going to bend over for anybody.
I need to keep this. I need to send this to a few people I know who have issues with conflict, who I mentor. I'm like, this is like something you really need to think about.
When you get up in that collaboration stage, most of my really close relationships came from conflict first because we both had character and we both stood up for our beliefs, and that leads to mutual respect.
It does.
If you don't have
also
that,
too, like I don't know about you, in my friend group, I don't want yes people. I want people to challenge me. You know, and I tell them that, like, for example, I'm just a crazy scenario, and these are some tangents, but this is great. This is why we do this. And there's so many gems here. So I said, if I win the lottery and let's say I'm worth $1 billion, and the people who've been with me, like, I know that they wouldn't change because of my situation. And
that's huge.
It is huge because you leave a lot of people behind when you grow. And it sucked. It's just like, I'm not going where you're going. I try to, and it just doesn't work.
And the best analogy I've heard for that is when you play a video game, you learn skills at level 1. They're going to help you at level 5. If you didn't evolve and learn those skills to get to level 5, you would never beat the boss at the end of the level.
Are you a gamer too?
Oh yeah, I love games. Oh my God.
What kind of games do you play though?
Right now I play Rocket League a lot.
What's that?
Oh, it's soccer with cars.
Oh, I love it.
It's fun. It's hard. I played it for probably like five years. I've been playing it since before my son.
You like hard though.
I do.
I don't like hard. Like I know the Demon Souls. I'm a Japanese RPG guy. Like I know like people like you know. When I used to be built like 300, now I am 300 is what I always say. People are like, you like Jack? Yes. You know, I used to hide that about myself. In fact, when I went to Japan, one of my greatest moments, there are moments in your life that you just pinch yourself. Like, I can't believe there's this kid that's like, I can feel myself get emotional talking about this. Like, you're in 10th grade and you're just having this moment and you're playing this game and you just escape the world because everything else around you like sucks. Yep. We all had those moments in life, right? And I'm not bashing anyone in my life. I'm just saying that's what I felt at that time. And you're in Japan, and I'm next to a publisher in Japan, Japanese. I never thought in a million years that I would ever travel, much less be there. Yep. And my friend looked at me, and he reads me very well. And I feel like men relationships fail in this way. This is totally so many different things in this podcast right now, but I feel like I want relationship with men. Like, I'm not afraid to be emotional or vulnerable with. And I had men friendships like that. We're hard men. We make money. We do well. Not about just making money, but we want success in life. There's some people out there. I know people in my friend group that live off the grid, that don't work for anyone, and that's their success. I with that.
That's
hard.
Awesome.
But it's different. It defines by different things. That's the kind of like circle I like to run in. And so, and I had that moment. He looked at me. He said, "You're having a moment." I said, "Yeah." He's just like, "All right, like, I'll be here as long as you want me to be." He's in Japan. He's sacrificing his, and I was just like, that's the kind of friendship. He let me just do what I wanted to do. I was in there for hours. You know, he didn't rush me, and he's a Russian kind of guy. And he just let me do my thing. So shout out to you, Russ. That was a moment, and he recognized that. So
I want to expand on that really quickly because this is something that most people don't understand. Is you with anybody who's willing to set their own standard for success and go after that and make that their drive. It doesn't matter if it's $1 million or time with your family or time off grid.
Right.
Traveling. If you sacrifice your beliefs for whatever else, you're failing in life. Right. But if you said, this is my standard, and you say, I'm not going to let anybody get in the way with it, I'm going to be friends with you because that is all that matters. Your standard doesn't have to be my standard. Mine doesn't have to be yours, but the mentality of no one's going to get in my way of my success is the standard.
So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. So at the end of every episode, when I have a guest on, like, what is my position on this? My position is, guys, y'all know, I'm a huge AI advocate. I believe in AI. I think that it can absolutely augment what you're doing and how it's going to shape the world. I do think that, in the future, we have to look at regulations and things like that. But this is new technology. This is not, to me, this is not something new. This is not a new problem. I look at humanity as like a flowing river. Like, history repeats itself, right? And so we're seeing this new wave. The problem looks different, but it's still the same. And so when we think about the internet, we think about the copy clause, the thing that I mentioned earlier. Moving towards advancement and toward technology is what I'm recommending to you guys. So lean into this, advocate. I advocated very, very hard right when it first came out. I got disapproved. I figured out a way that I still use it that's ethical, but also doesn't violate my organization's policies. So yeah, that's my closing comments. Anything else you would like to say?
I would just say everyone needs to dive deep into innovation now. With where we are with technology, you have an opportunity to jump in on the Google rush that happened back in the 90s and 2000s with AI. This is that on steroids.
Yeah.
So if you can jump in now, I think crypto was a very good idea to jump into decentralization, and I think AI is going to be the fruition of that.
Yeah. I actually like that. Could you imagine having, instead of making the owner of Uber richer, you have your own, like you want to keep the most of the money yourself. It's interesting. It's just interesting where the world's going, and I'm here for it.
Same.
So
I'm all in on it. I'm not just here for it. I'm all in on it.
Me too, man. This is why I had you on the show. This is totally different, and I did this for me. Every guest, and I love all my guests or whatever. My niche as well, but I did this for me. Today is sometimes you got to as a content creator. Like, I hate that word, but you have to do things for yourself that feed your soul. This is what I did for myself, and I really, really mean that because. This is not technically a wealth, but it should be. It's
going to be wealth.
Exactly. And it should be part of everyone's mentality moving forward.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, that's another episode of Suits and Scrubs. A little health, a little wealth, a lot of love. Come on, you can do it with me. A lot of love. Yeah.
You got me drinking bourbon. I forgot it for a second.
All right, guys, until next time.
Thank you, guys.
He's on the hustle, she's on the grind. There's no time to kill. Saving lives and new deadlines, and there's some holes to fill. With a little health and a little wealth and a lot of love. That's a life that we live. Suits and Scrubs.